guys, and welcome back to episode 3 of Broadway Bound, the podcast all about how to get started in musical theater and train. Today we're talking all about auditions. We're talking about in-person auditions and self-tapes because they're becoming a lot more popular now. So let's just get straight into it, I guess. Let's just get started. The first thing that I'm going to talk about is Audition Fright because it never goes away. But I have some tricks on how to deal with Audition Fright. So, auditions are, well, actually, I'm not going to say it never goes away because I actually have gotten less nervous about them. But I've developed ways to get less nervous about them. The main thing that, allows you to ease your audition fright is just experience. The more auditions that you do, the more comfortable you'll be in the room. I've definitely found that to be true. And also the more you do, things in front of, the more acting workshops that I've done, where I've worked on a monologue in front of a room full of people, the easier it's been to do my monologue for an audition. And I think also the realization that you will get the roles that you're meant to get. It's not based on talent. You're just trying to show them you, and you may not be right for the part, but, as long as you put yourself out there and showcase the best of your ability, then, it's the best that you can do. And I know that's hard to just tell people to, just think about it as being this is the best you're going to do, because you're still going to be nervous at first, but it just, it does get better, and after a while you just realize, you just become more comfortable with it. And, definitely also auditioning for many different theater companies instead of sticking to one also really helps, because sometimes you can get too comfortable in one audition environment and then you'll go to another one and it's just whoa, I don't know what's happening here. And I'm definitely guilty of that. I'm also guilty of becoming too comfortable in an audition environment and just too comfortable, too relaxed, and just, I didn't give my best audition. That happened in middle school, and so don't get too comfortable anywhere. Always give it your best. And those are my main advice. Confidence is also a big thing. Prepare so much. If you think you're prepared enough, prepare some more. You just gotta keep going over it, because you gotta know it backwards and forwards so that nothing can faze you in that audition. You know exactly what you're gonna do, and that's, it's not only good for you because you feel more confident and you feel less stressed. It's the audition panel can totally tell as well if you're comfortable in the room or if you're not. And if you didn't prepare enough, then you're not. They can tell that you're not comfortable. This definitely happened in a couple of my callbacks. I'm guilty of this, not preparing quite enough. I would prepare one thing specifically, and I would not really prepare everything else. And then guess what? They ended up making me do all the stuff that I didn't prepare very much. And then I go in there and I'm really shaky, and they can tell that I didn't prepare. And I totally understand why I didn't get those roles, because, I wasn't giving my full self out there. So just prepare as much as you can is just my big advice there. And if you don't know what a callback is, I'll get to that in a second. I just realized. But yeah, another great way to ease audition fright is to Bring a friend. If you can, sign up for the same audition time as your friend. That's always helpful. Sometimes it can make some people more uncomfortable if your friend's there, so just know yourself what will make you more comfortable. But for me, it's always more comfortable if I bring a friend there or if I make friends, because there's always going to be people there who don't have friends, going to the same audition time or not auditioning for that show at all. So make friends with people in the hallway. You can hype each other up, and that definitely helps. Like, I remember at my Tanner Maverick callback, everyone in the room was just so nice to each other and was talking to each other, and we all hyped each other up, and it was just such a great experience, and it made everyone more confident, and everyone just fed off of it. And it didn't matter if any of us got the roles or not, because we just felt comfortable and we had a great time, and we weren't stressed or worrying about it. So that definitely helps. Also, I personally wouldn't sing your song right beforehand, or your monologue or whatever. I wouldn't do it right beforehand. You can do it a little bit, but maybe once, and then don't do it again, because if you keep doing it over and over again, you're going to freak yourself out. You're going to think that everything's wrong, and you just kind of have to go for it. And in the end, doing it that last couple times before the audition is not really going to help you in any way. You're either prepared or you're not. So I would recommend just waiting and just relaxing and knowing you got this, and just go for it, So yeah, now let's go into choosing a song or monologue for your audition. So most auditions for theater will require you to do a 32 bar cut of music, or 16 bars in some cases, but really rare. So 32 bars, or like a minute sometimes if they have you do bring your own track. So, or they will have you do a minute to 2 minute monologue usually. Sometimes times vary. It's different among auditions and what they want, but yeah. So it's important to take into consideration when choosing your song or monologue overdone choices. For example, right now, I can't think. Oh, right now, okay. A musical that went viral fairly recently, was Beetlejuice. So if I went into an audition and sang a song from Beetlejuice, there's a good chance that there will be someone else singing a song to Beetlejuice, especially if this is a youth theater production right now, because that's just what's popular. That's what people know about. There are some exceptions to this because, well, first of all, the reason you may not want to do something that someone else does is because it can make the the casting team bored. They'll be like, ugh, another person. Also, you're going to be more compared to other people than if you didn't do that, if you did a song that was more obscure. It's just overall not a good idea to do that. There are some exceptions to this, however, because, if there's a song that you are just this is your song, this is the song backwards and forwards, you've worked on it so much, you feel so confident and good in this song, and it fits in the style of the show you're auditioning for, then go for it. If you're over the moon confident about it, then go for it, because you're not going to worry about making the audition panel bored, because you know a way to make this song exciting, or you're not going to be compared to others because you just knock this song so far out of the park. But you got to be really sure about it. But of course, if that's your song, then go for it. I know for a while my song was Journey to the Past from Anastasia, which is a pretty popular audition song. I would kind of lean away for it. Also, if you Google example, if I was auditioning for Seussical and I was auditioning for Maisie, if you Googled Maisie audition songs, I would not use any of those, because chances are, especially in youth theater, that someone else is going to Google the exact same thing and get the exact same list of songs, even if it's a really obscure musical song that you've never heard of. There's a good chance that someone else has found it. If you have nowhere to start when picking a song, you only know like the popular musicals, what I would do is I would Google, audition songs for this character, and then I would Google songs similar to that. And it's a couple steps away. So find something that you really like. Also, if you have a voice teacher, they're most likely gonna be able to find a song for you. And they know your voice, so they'll be able to find something that'll really fit in your range. Speaking on that, pick a song that's in your range. You don't want to be hurting yourself in preparing for this audition. You want to showcase you and what's authentically you. And if you can't hit a big belty note at the end, don't do that. In fact, sometimes, unless it's a really big belty show, I wouldn't even advise doing a big belty note at the end, because everyone else is going to do a big belty note at the end because they want to impress the panel. Where really they want to see your acting through song. And yeah. So make sure to find something that you can be really confident in. You're not worried about hitting all the notes, and you're able to, act, because acting is really the most important thing, and also showcasing your range. Don't try to do something that is hard to sing. You can do something that's a little bit challenging for you, but you can still sing it. It's also going to make you more confident, which is going back to the thing. Confidence is a great thing audition rooms, and they want to see someone who they want to work with. And if there's someone who's really confident and happy and just excited to be there, they're going to want to work with that person over the person who's shaking in fear because, they are trying to hit a really high note. So, important in choosing a song. And also backups. Not so much in youth theater, but definitely as you get higher up in theater, it's important. You still want to have this in youth theater if you can. Have a backup song. If you're going to a live audition and maybe they don't like your song choice, maybe they really don't think that it fits in the style of the show. I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but you should definitely pick a song. Always pick a song that's in the same style of the show. So, for example, I'm not going to do, if I'm auditioning for Beauty and the Beast, I'm not going to do a song from, like, Hamilton. I wouldn't do a song from Hamilton anyway because it's going to be overdone, but, a rap musical and, like, Beauty and the Beast, it's just a very different sound, and kind of use some common sense there to find something that's, in the similar genre, because you want to show yourself in, the show that you're being cast for. But it's always important to have backups. So make sure to usually you'll have like 5 or so songs that you're really confident in that you'll bring to every audition and that you can pull out if you need to. And that's really important. So if you, there's a possibility that when you're in the room, they may be like, hey, do you have anything else? And this is mainly because maybe they want to see, maybe they're unsure about you. Maybe they want to see a little bit more of your range, or maybe they didn't think that the song really fit in the style of the show. Then you'll want to have another song. Choose something that's, make sure to have some contrasting stuff, because if they want to see another song, they're going to want to see a different side of you. So try to pick something that's a little bit more contrasting. Obviously, don't work on preparing this as much, because in youth theater it's kind of rare that they ask for another song, but always have it in your back pocket. And so moving on to preparing. How do you prepare? I mean, the main one, back to choosing monologues. I forgot to talk about that. For me, I always like to choose a monologue that feels the most natural to me, because acting is still something that I'm working on, and playing more outlandish characters is just something that is hard for me when it comes to a monologue right now. It's not impossible, but I don't have as much experience in choosing monologues, because I tend to do more musicals than plays, and they usually ask for monologues for plays. That's the main thing I just have to say about that one. And when you're doing a monologue, even if they say you don't have to have it memorized, make sure I would have it memorized anyway, or to the point where you can just hold the paper and look down if you absolutely have to. But yeah, I would try to memorize it. And that's the main things I have to say about monologues, because again, I don't have very much experience in that. Here's when it comes to preparing. Obviously, practice, but don't overwork yourself. If you see you're starting to get tired, stop for the day, take a break. I'm definitely guilty of overworking myself. Don't do that. Just trust that you will be able to do it. If you've chosen the right song for you, you'll be able to do it, or the monologue. A great way for me to practice is to record myself and then watch it back, and then give myself feedback and then try again. That's a great tool that I've learned to use. Obviously, if you're recording a self-tape, then you will have that anyway. But when you're practicing, it's really helpful to see yourself from an outside perspective, because something may feel so right, and then you watch it back and you're like, what was I doing? But yeah, that's a really important tool if you can. So that's about it I have on preparing. On the day of, I would recommend maybe running it once or twice and then not doing it again. Don't tire yourself out. I've done this so many times. I've tired myself out before an audition because I'm paranoid. You gotta just trust that you know it, and you'll be fine. You really don't want to tire yourself out, and you don't want to stress yourself out. So I feel like the best way in the morning before the audition is just relax. Do some stuff you enjoy. Don't worry about it. When getting ready for an audition, make sure to wear something comfortable, that you feel comfortable in, especially if you have to do a dance at the audition. Make sure to bring something you can dance in. Try to do something, usually you would try to wear something a little bit nicer. I feel like now, just the way that fashion is kind of evolving, people don't tend to wear stuff that's it's kind of blurred what is casual and formal anymore. But I wouldn't do formal. I would do somewhere in between. Casual and formal is what I would do. And try to wear something that your character that you're auditioning for might wear. This does not mean a costume. Never go into an audition with a costume. It's going to make you stand out in a bad way. It's it's seen as unprofessional. Just don't do it. But dress kind of inspired by your character to a degree. But don't do costume. Don't think about your outfit too much. Yeah. So make sure you warm up before your audition and then don't practice anymore. Maybe sing it once or twice. You're good. As I said earlier. And make sure to breathe. Make sure to breathe. Think of different breathing exercises. I think when it comes to audition fright, I get really shaky. So very important to, breathe. And, just calm yourself down. So once you get to the audition, here are some things that you can expect to see in the room. If you're self-taping, obviously you're not going to go anywhere. You're just going to record yourself. When you're recording, make sure if you have a fan or an air conditioner, make sure to turn it off. That noise can be really distracting in your video, even if you don't think that it'll be noticeable. It is. So make sure to turn that off. I remember in a recent self-tape that I just did, I filmed like so many takes and then I watched it back and my fan was on and it was so annoying. So make sure to double check that before you start recording, and make sure you record in front of a plain background that's not distracting. Don't show your messy room. I like to record mine in front of my closet doors because I don't do a ton of self-tapes, so it's not worth it for me to have a backdrop. If you can get a backdrop and you're going to do a lot of self-tapes, then definitely do that. And then make sure to wear something that contrasts with the background. So if you have a black background, don't wear a black shirt. Wear a lighter colored shirt. If you have a white colored background, make sure to wear a darker color. You don't want to blend in with your background. Okay. So what to expect in the audition room if you're going in person? For usually there's going to be a little front area where you'll check in. You'll give them usually like a contract or something that you'll have to fill out. And you'll check in. Then usually it'll go into a waiting room of some kind where you will, wait. The last audition that I went to, outside of school, it was during COVID, so there were little X's to stand on the floor. I don't think that they will really have that anymore, but there will be a designated area for you to wait, and you'll just wait for your number to be called. They'll usually give you a number that you'll stick on your shirt, so that the panel can remember you. So you usually go in number order. They'll call you into the room. Sometimes they'll call you into the room in groups of like 5 or so, and then you'll sit and you'll go up one at a time. You'll go up. There's usually an X in the floor in front of the panel of judges. You'll walk up to the X. If you have sheet music, then you'll go over to the pianist, give them your sheet music. You go over kind of the tempo that you want the song, so like how fast or slow. You can do it by like clapping softly. Don't clap aggressively. Be very nice to your pianists. They work so hard. You can tap on your leg, anything like that. Also, if you have any cuts in your music, try not to do that because it's annoying for the pianist. But if you do, make sure that they're clearly marked and then go over it with them shortly before the audition. I know that sometimes now they're asking you to send it in and then the pianist will have it on an iPad or something, so you may not have to give it to them. But yeah, and then if you have music to like plug in, like your phone or something, obviously plug it in. If you have an iPhone, I would make sure to bring a dongle just in case. Most of the times they will have something, but it doesn't hurt to be prepared. So that's what I recommend. And yeah, so then you'll give them your music. You'll go on the X. Then you'll slate, which means you'll say your name, sometimes your age or your grade. Especially in a school audition, you want to say your grade or your age, and then your number, and then what you were singing or performing, and then the composer or or the show that it's from, and then the composer or author, if it's depending on the audition. And then you will do your thing, and then they will be like, great, you're good, and then you'll leave. As far as callbacks, they will usually either they will let you know right after your audition what they want to see you back for, or they will send you a list later, or it'll be online, or it'll be posted in person. There's a bunch of different things. Depends on the company. Most of the time it's just posted online, and then it'll be more information about when you have to come. A callback is just a second audition, usually if they want to see more from you. If you don't get a callback, that doesn't mean that you weren't cast in the show. It just means they don't need to see anything else from you. You may have already been cast in something. That does happen. So that's important to know. If you don't get a callback, that doesn't mean that they're not interested in you. So keep that in mind. At callbacks, we're also going to be talking about dance auditions as part of callbacks, even though sometimes they do have dance auditions at the first audition. That varies widely depending on company, but usually you'll learn a short portion of the dance, and then you'll do it. If it's a dance-heavy show, you'll probably have to do the dance at the first audition. But if it's not a dance-heavy show, then you'll just do it at callbacks usually. At callbacks, basically what you'll usually have to prepare for a callback is they're going to give you a bunch of pages of the script and called sides, and you'll basically have to learn them and prepare them and bring them back. They do not expect you to have it memorized. What I would usually do is I would memorize it as much as I can, and I would still hold the papers in the audition. That's what I like to do. Because you do have such short time to learn it sometimes, usually only a few days. I would memorize it as much as you can. Try not to look at your paper, but bring it in there just in case you need to look down. It's always way more helpful to the casting team if you have it memorized, because they can see more of your acting. If you're just reading from a paper, it's kind of hard to act. So, yeah. If you have a singing callback, usually the music director will go over it a little bit with you at the audition. So don't expect to have it perfect at home, or anything like that. Very important. As far as dance, as I said earlier, basically you'll just have to learn a short section of the dance and then perform it for the panel. When it comes to callbacks and learning choreography really fast, the most important thing is your acting. Make sure to act really, even if you're not confident in it, just act confident. If you're doing the wrong moves, just keep going. It's really entertaining, actually, and you'll stand out in a good way, to be honest. If you mess up and just keep going like nothing ever happened, and just go ha ha ha, just act like you know it. If you're worrying about it, then they're gonna be like, oh, they suck. But here's the thing. Most people there at the audition, they're not confident on the dance at all. You all learned it in the same amount of time. So just be confident in what you know, and just know that not everyone knows it perfectly, and don't mess up, everyone's going to mess up a little bit. Another important note on dancing auditions is that if the choreographer says any specific notes, keep that in mind, because they will be most likely looking for these specific things. For example, if they say, in the turn, make sure to point your feet, or something like that, out of anything to remember that one thing, because, sorry, my nose. because it is most likely that those are the things they are mainly looking for in the audition. So keep that in mind. If you're going to learn one thing, learn those things. And that's my biggest advice for dance callbacks or auditions. So, in roles you didn't audition for. So sometimes at a callback, you may be given sides that you're originally not given. They may be like, hey, I actually want you to read for this person. And that has happened to me a lot. And it can be really stressful, but, you just got to go for it because if they're giving you papers, that means they probably aren't very confident in casting that role. So if you go out and kill it, then you'll get it. That's what happened to me in Tanner Maverick. I went in for like 5 other roles, and then they're like, you know what? We see you in this role. And they gave you the paper, and then I did it, and I got the role. So, just always just give everything your all as much as you can. I would try to read over the paper as fast as I can. I would just try to skim it, just so you're familiar with a little bit before you go. Sometimes you'll be given like 5 minutes or something to do it. Or sometimes they just say, go do it right now. Just go do it. So I would just try to read over the paper as fast as I can and then just go. And then usually they'll have you read it a couple times. So, experiment with different line sayings, nothing is wrong. So don't be startled if you get asked to do something that you weren't originally called back for, because it could happen. And it's important to give every audition your all. So yeah, I think that's pretty much all about auditions. After the callbacks, they will tell you if you got into the show or not. Some companies will email you and ask you if you will accept the role, because sometimes people are auditioning for multiple things at once, and they sometimes have to decline offers if they get accepted into multiple things. But otherwise, it'll be posted online or in person. Because of COVID, companies have kind of stopped posting lists in person, so it'll most likely be online or sent to you in email. But yeah, that's where to expect. That's all about auditions. I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast, and I hope it was helpful to you. I can't wait to see you all in the next episode, and I hope you have a great rest of your night. Bye.